Welcome back to the Etc. Podcast. I'm your host, Victor, along with my co-host, Mark.
Yo,
How are y'all doing today?
good,
How are you,
good.
Mark?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to see, after last week you weren't here. You was
Yeah, it was hard for me. I don't think I've ever missed an episode. That was the first time where, shit
true,
popped off and
true.
I had to pass it off to the homie. So
That's
he
cool.
held it down. I appreciate it. I edited the footage and looked like you guys, was vibing well together. So,
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I felt very confident talking to him. We chatted up a little bit, and yeah, it was a good episode. Be glad to have him back on again.
yeah. I'll for sure, keep him in the loop if I need to take a second and recoup. But yeah, I always love being here, so it's good to be back. Yeah, man, it's been a heavy couple weeks. Holidays are making their way up. It's a good vibe. It's that time of year when shit start to feel good. But honestly, like, I just want to talk about what I had sent you because people getting a little. It's not weird, but like I get it, but I don't. Cause like the world's in trouble. We just had Spidey here. He talked about it. Some stuff that we got to address, and we've had to address for a long time. But it's just the way that people try to address it. I don't know if I can agree with sometimes. It's not what I'm referring to, but you see Kanye out here, whole life crumbling and apart. He pulled up to Skechers trying to, I don't know what, record something or get a deal popping, and they were just like, nah. Every brand in the country, in the world is trying to like knock him, be like, nah, like we don't rock with him.
Yeah, I think it's
TJ Maxx said that they don't fuck with him.
yeah, I think it's getting to the point of his career where it's just like
It's
those
getting real love and hip hop for him right now.
yeah.
Real dancing with the stars.
Yeah, like it's getting to that point where you have those artists that we all know and love, but we just don't know what they're doing now, and that's usually
Yeah.
how a lot of them go. It's not like we know what Nelly's doing. Right? I mean, like you said, Dancing with the Stars, but
Yeah.
like there's other ones. Like Bow Wow, like he gonna pop up somewhere, and you're just like, oh shit. But someone who was like Kanye, like you knew what he was doing every
Yeah.
day, but now it's going to get to that point where it's like.
Yeah, he's pushing his luck a little bit, and I think that this is like the first time for real, like in like a real situation where like things won't be looking favorable for him. In the past, like, don't get me wrong, he said some fucked up shit. Um, but at the same time, like the thing with Kanye is that he's just really bad at communicating shit.
Yeah.
Also mixing that together with the fact that he has like mental disorders.
Yeah.
But like there'll be times where he'll say things where it's like, I know what you're trying to say, but you just chose the worst possible way to say it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like for example, like when this kind of all really started in a way, with like the slavery was a choice thing at TMZ. It's like that is the worst possible way to say what he meant to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Because he explained it later,
yeah.
but
And it's like,
again,
oh, okay. Like still kind of stupid, but like I get what you're trying to get at, but
eh,
you just really suck. For somebody whose job involves writing
in public figuring, like
and
yeah,
yeah, and speaking to the public and performing for the public, you really suck at talking to people.
yeah. And I think his issue is that a lot of the times, like you said, like he'll write stuff, like as far as music and all that other stuff. But when it comes to doing interviews and stuff, I think he really just goes in and just wings it. Doesn't
A hundred
even
percent.
doesn't even try to like
He
rehearse anything.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself like I don't think he has an agent. He doesn't have like PR teams, which it shows.
Yeah,
But
and
he
I
hates all that stuff. He hates being controlled. Like, well, whatever. I get it. Like, you just want to be real all the time. But like, in the condition that he's in, where he's literally like, it's clear as day that he has some sort of mental disorder. Like, I'm pretty sure he's like diagnosed bipolar, which is horrible. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, but he needs to check that, and he don't want to. Like, he'd be off meds or like not doing his shit, and it's unfortunate because you see a guy that like we grew up, looking up to. He's always been like off his shit a little bit because like you have like the Taylor Swift and Beyonce situation. Even earlier than that, you got the whole thing with Michael Myers during the Katrina stuff where he was like George Bush don't like black people, and like a whole bunch of other stuff.
But a whole like a lot of times too, it was like it was fine because we needed that little bit of just offsetting because you felt like it was something different. You felt
Yeah.
like it wasn't someone who was just following the script, which was like I said back then. It was kind of like all right, cool to be able to be like, oh shit, there's somebody who's actually like speaking their mind, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
sort of say. But now it's like getting to the
It's
point where
evolved.
Yeah, it's
It's
like it's
it's
learning.
it's White Lives Matter T-shirts
Yeah,
and unprovoked, like no reason to even have it on,
yeah,
and talking about like basically being anti-Semitic, just anti-Semitism
yeah.
or just weird racism towards your own people, like just doesn't make sense. And then to him for to hop on like Fox News, I think it was, or CNN, one of the
It was
two,
one I don't think it was CNN, but it was something
Fox News, I think.
something like that.
He was just like, "Oh, like I'm becoming more close to like a rich white man." It's like I get what you mean, but that's a weird ass sense to say.
Yeah,
Like you've achieved that similar power because you're a billionaire or used to
yeah,
be. But like don't compare yourself in that way, or like I get what he meant. Like there's a certain like once you, like there's nothing better than being like a straight Christian white male. That's just like that's a cheat code for life.
yeah,
You throw in being over 6 feet and it's over with.
yeah, true.
So, imagine that and then just being rich. That's like peak, non-discriminatory at all. No holds bar, like no holds bar, like
True.
nothing holding you back power.
Yeah,
And now imagine, obviously in his situation, he's a black man, so that kind of it shouldn't, but it does hold us back as people when you're of color. But now he's at a point of being billionaire status. So it's like, yeah, you're a person of color, but you have a lot of money. So we're going to hear what you have to say. And
yeah.
now at this point, what pisses me off the most, I don't know if you've seen Trevor Noah talk about it,
I didn't see it.
but somebody asked him like in between one of his breaks and was like, why do you have beef with Kanye? Because I guess Kanye made a statement about Trevor Noah. He's like, I don't have beef with Kanye. Like, one, a beef has to be both sides. And I think he got more beef with me than I do with him. Two, I actually give a fuck about Kanye. Like, I love his music. I grew up listening to him, and I'm seeing somebody that I did not look up to anymore. Like, he's changing.
Yeah,
And his beef is that, like, we are all watching him have this meltdown. And so many people are so quick to just be like, point a mic in his face and be like, what do you have to say? Knowing that it's going to be crazy and just use that as like clickbait.
yeah.
Like, there's no reason for people to be putting a mic in his face right now.
No, yeah, definitely.
He's clearly going through it, and you're just using it for your own benefit.
Yeah, like something's gonna probably come out of it, and then you're gonna start blaming him or making a story, obviously. But it's just there's no point if you know you're gonna get something like that out of
Yeah.
it, and it's gonna create commotion and problems.
Just bringing him on in hopes that he says the next big thing that people are gonna talk about, like, that's mad shitty.
Yeah, yeah,
Same thing with, like, the guy Orlando Brown. It's like, obviously, we knew him from That's So Raven, like,
yeah,
awesome, like, big part of our childhood.
yeah,
What has he done since then that warrants or even, like, is necessary for bring him on for an interview?
yeah,
Unless he's talking about something that happened back then on
yeah.
some, like, Jeanette McCurdy type stuff where, like, she talks about, like, the weird stuff at Nickelodeon.
Hmm.
He's not doing that. They're just putting a mic in his face, and it's always what's that guy's name? Vlad TV. It's
Yeah,
always that
yeah,
same dude that just
yeah.
gives him a mic and lets him say the most outrageous shit when he's probably on drugs or going through it.
Hmm.
It's like, why are you doing this now? Like, why do we need to hear from? No disrespect, but why do we need to hear from him right now? Why does he need a platform?
Yeah,
Because you want him to spew crazy shit
yeah, because you
for
want,
your
like you
own
said, the
benefit.
clickbait, the views, and stuff like that. So it kind of sucks, really. Yeah.
Because like, I don't know if we talked about it on here. I feel like I've talked about it a couple of times, but I don't know if I said it to you. But like when he said like P Diddy give him like bop blah, blah, bop bop.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that on here?
I don't know if we talked about it, but
But it was just like
maybe. I feel like it's something we
I'm
would have
not
talked
sure.
about.
But it's just like people were saying how he's crazy for saying that. I mean, it's kind of jumping around, but I don't think he's lying. Did I tell you this?
I don't know.
I don't think he's lying. Like, and I'm glad I'm saying this now if I haven't already, because something else happened and came out where it kind of will support my theory a little bit in a way. One, I've heard too many stories from comedians or other artists and shit where it's just like they talk about going to like
Yeah,
Hollywood-esque
yeah, yeah,
parties
yeah, yeah.
and the shit that they see
And they
is weird
talk
as
about it.
fuck.
Yeah.
Where like they just don't allow phones and like a weird party where like it's like the vibe
Hmm.
is just weird. So much shit has been like put under the covers where it's like, all right, well, maybe a lot of shit people are saying isn't that far fetched.
Yeah.
Cause he talks about P. Diddy, P. Diddy gave him the bop, 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 bop. I don't know when they would have crossed paths. So maybe that's the weirdest part. But maybe this was back in the days. But still. So that happened. I don't think he's that crazy for saying that. I think there's a lot of people that are like in the closet that won't put it out there. Um, what?
I'm just thinking, like, just the fact with P. Diddy, and if that is true.
Yeah.
situation here with Florida.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. I should probably stop saying this. Um, but no, yeah, like, and if it's not him, like, if that is false, like, I still feel like there's a something out there where like a lot of people are just hiding.
Maybe he just didn't mean what we think he probably
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
maybe he meant that for like something
I
else. Like
mean,
maybe he did do something,
I
but it
could
just wasn't that.
I could say, for lack of better example, I could say you gave me the blah blah blah, and the blah 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 could be money.
Exactly. That's what I'm
So
saying.
like,
Like it could have been something else,
yeah,
but he
yeah,
really
yeah,
just,
yeah.
but we interpreted it as
Cause he's
that because
cause he's just saying sounds. So
he, he just scatting. Isn't that what it's
what
called? Scatting.
yeah, what y'all assume that is not his fault.
Exactly.
I could say anything. I could say freaking Margot Robbie gave Quinn the blah blah blah.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It could have been he
Gave him
gave
an
him
autograph.
gave him an autograph, gave him a car. That would have been crazy. Just anything.
Anything could be the blah blah blah.
Tickets to the Sixers game. I don't know.
It could be anything.
Exactly.
So yeah. But the reason I bring that up, or should I do this real quick? We don't
Yeah.
have. I don't think we have a spare battery, which kind of sucks.
Oh, I don't
We'll just rock out for right now.
know.
Yeah. Did you see the thing with Joe Budden?
No.
So the reason I mentioned all this other stuff, I know we're jumping around a lot, but like the blah blah blah, and like hiding sexuality, and like some people actually being bisexual or gay and not being like wanting to show it for whatever their reason may be. But Joe Budden came out as bisexual.
Really?
Yeah,
Kind of explains a lot.
because of the Munch video or something.
Yeah.
But no, because the
It
reason,
is a little bit, but hey,
yeah, I mean the reason I say that is because like, I mean honestly, like good for him to be open enough to put that out there, like whatever. Like it doesn't really make any
yeah.
difference to any of us.
No, it doesn't.
But I know for the type of person he is and like the position he's in, that's probably not easy to be
No,
coming from
yeah.
like an era of rap where it's just like
Like
you gotta be
hardcore.
hard and shit.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like nobody really expect that out of him because he's just always just been trying to come off as this hard dude and like
Yeah.
being mad, crazy like that. And like, at least now with the way that the media and like the viewpoint of shit has changed, he's comfortable enough to like say that shit and know that the majority will have his back.
Hmm.
Back then, when he was coming up, if he were to say these things, his career
Probably would have been.
most likely would have been over, and he would have been ridiculed back then. And then we would have been like trying to bring him back on some like Britney Spears shit. Um, but yeah, now he's able to say that, and like I forgot what exactly happened. He was on the show, on his own show, and he like just said it like kind of like it was regular, which it is. But he was like, "Oh, like me personally," he was like, "I like guys and girls," and he just kind of kept talking, and everybody else was just like, "Wait, what?" And um, yeah, so like good for him. Like he was honest about it, good. And he went on another show, and there was a bunch of other guys like of a different podcast, or maybe it would have been his. I don't know. It was a different episode basically of a show. And another, I guess it was the host of that podcast, kind of brought it up to him. It was like, "Yo, like he's like, I heard you say,
Yeah. What was up with that?
yeah, like what was up with you saying that you like you were
Like, what do
bisexual?"
you mean? Like, yeah.
And Joe Budden didn't necessarily answer the question because he asked me, he's like, "Are you like bisexual or gay?"
Bisexual. Oh yeah.
And he was like, he didn't answer. He kind of laughed it off, and he was like, "If I was, like, what difference does it make?" Which is 100% valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what the
Exactly.
fuck does that got to do with you?
Yeah. It really doesn't.
Like, we talking right now. I don't want to suck your peen.
Yeah, that and it's just like, why does it matter? Like, as far as like putting that on here, if you want to
Yeah,
ask me that off
clickbait,
camera. Like you don't
clickbait.
need to ask me that in front of everybody. You can just ask me that to the side real quick because it's a simple question. But the fact that you're asking me in front of the cameras just almost makes it seem like you actually just want to, like you said,
Yeah,
get the views.
get the title of the episode out. And at the same
Exactly.
time, somebody asked me that, and it has none of like if we doing a podcast and you ask me if I'm bi, I'm like, "Why are you trying to fuck me or something?" Like, like
You trying to fuck me?
yeah, like where are we going right now? Like, I thought this was we on couches right now, but I didn't think it was that kind of show. Like,
Exactly. I don't think like, I have to see the cameras, but
I thought we were talking.
exactly. Like, what's going on? Are you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like,
you gonna ask me? I mean, like, should I have the right to ask you then if that's what we're doing?
but he was like, "Oh, like, are you or not?" He's like, "How does it make a difference?" And the guy was just kind of like, "Nah, like, it doesn't." But I was just asking, and he was like, "All right, so like, so what?" And
Yeah, I think.
the guy was like, "Oh, like, He was like, he basically says like, "I'm not gonna like, that doesn't mean I want you or anything." And the guy was like, "Oh, like, I'm a handsome guy, like maybe you did want me." He's like, Like, nah, like, it's not like that. Like, I'm like, that doesn't mean that I just wanna fuck every dude. Like,
Yeah. I
why
think
are you being weird?
I think what he should have did was if you wanted to ask him on camera, it could have just been the idea like, oh, like I don't know if you mind me asking you. If you don't, it's perfectly fine. Like starting off with something like that, but to just come out straight and just be like, oh yeah, I heard from the other, episode you did from the other show. Like you say you was this and this. So like, yo, is that true, bro? Like saying some shit like that, that just kind of you can already tell is that you're trying to get something out of it. And that's where
Yeah.
it kind of feels where it's like, okay, it doesn't seem like genuine or personal, and it doesn't seem like you're being much of like a friend or inviting to somebody who's coming on your show to talk. It just seems like you're trying to use them, and that's where it's just like that's kind of fucked up. But
Yeah, it's like, did you even care about anything else that we talked about? Like,
exactly.
it's mad weird.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, good for him though. Like you said, it does suck to think like like you said back then, if he would have had tried to do that, his career would just be kind of like down the hole. But he like I guess again, for all we know, probably he probably wasn't always like that.
Yeah, he probably came to the realization
Things
recently.
change. Like nothing's wrong with that. But again, if he did always feel that back then, it's kind of crazy to think that he kind of like stuck it through like all this time. I guess in a way, where he like was trying to show, but now he came out, and I mean, again, that's good to be able to have to do that, like you said now, whatnot. So, what's up?
Yeah. And then while that podcast was happening, it was like he was like trying to make a joke about it, the guy that was like asking him,
Mm.
and like basically trying to get everybody, like, it was a bunch of guys in the room and trying to get them all to like together just kind of like laugh at him. And everybody else that was like with him was looking at the guy like, we don't give a fuck. And like he looked so like mad corny, like,
Like,
because
yo,
he was
yo,
trying.
this guy is bisexual, right, guys? And
Everybody's like, yeah, he is.
yeah, he is.
Cool.
so
Keep
about
asking. You want to fuck him? So,
so about the other topics that we should have been talking about the past
yeah.
10 minutes.
So let's get to these sponsors.
Like, I don't know why we're still here on this topic, but
Better help.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's cool, but sucks that like that's what he had to go through really with
Yeah.
those people.
But the overall arcing point is like, I think that's gonna become in the future a lot more common. Cause yeah, I mean, you already see certain artists like shit's coming. Like, I mean, Lil Nas X is kind of like putting it out there, putting his head out there for a lot of people. But even like this was a different situation. But Isaiah Rashad came out as like bisexual as well, and yeah, I mean, it's just becoming more prevalent. And like, I don't think it was. I think it was Charlemagne instead. It wasn't Joe Budden, but he was interviewing Isaiah Rashad. I wasn't sure. I might be confusing the two with who did the interview. I was about to say like it's kind of interesting that if it was Joe Budden who did the interview as Isaiah Rashad to like
Yeah.
then later himself come out as bisexual. But I think it was Charlemagne. But
Uh,
anyway, that was not what I intended on bringing up. The reason way far back of like people not being able to like communicate what they're trying to put out there was all these people throwing stuff at fucking paintings.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
saw that shit, and
Like
I didn't,
great cause, terrible way to do it.
yeah, I didn't really read up on that much, but again, like you said, the way to do it was just it just makes no sense, really. I mean, like,
When you read it and you see what they're trying to do, I get it, but it's just like that's not hitting. It's not hitting home for me.
it's only hitting the
So
pain.
yeah, and not even because they be having glass on that shit.
True,
So
yeah.
like, I think it was during the summer the first time I seen anything like this. It was like, did somebody threw like a piece of cake, excuse me, at the Mona Lisa,
That I remember, yeah.
and that one was probably the best one because that guy, excuse me, that guy he dressed up as an older woman in a wheelchair and like got close enough to the Mona Lisa and like got took off his costume and like threw a cake at the Mona Lisa and then was screaming out like care about the planet and like threw roses as he was getting carried away.
That is awesome.
But the reason people are doing it is because of climate change. Like that's been the main reason of just being like, the environment's dying. There's a lot of stuff going on where like people are hurting the planet and we need to do something about it. Um the other the other situation, somebody threw like tomato soup at like one of Van Gogh's paintings, I think it was. And like they did the same thing. And like in that situation, they threw the fucking soup and then they glued themselves to the floor.
I saw that. Yeah,
And my thing is like, what glue are they using? That like not even crazy glue works that fast.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
They s
there's usually security walking around and shit. So, like, how like, between the time that a security guard will notice and get to them, I don't think that glue's dried up.
yeah, nah.
And even if it was, like, I could, like, I'll snatch your shit off the floor. I don't care.
I
Like,
don't care if your skin rips
yeah, like,
Yeet.
you about to make me lose my job.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll grow
shit.
back.
Yeah, mm.
Just, just that Tom and Jerry scream when I peel the shit off.
True, yeah. But, yeah, that's like I said, that's kinda crazy to really, like, see it, but I mean, like, it sucks, like you said, the way to go about it, but the cause for it makes sense
Yeah,
because it's like you're trying to do it to something that you know people are going to pay attention to once it gets on the news and you understand why they're doing it, but it does suck that you're doing this to something that literally that like has nothing to do with the cause and literally like is just a thing that like I don't know, it's just weird. Like something like the Mona Lisa, you know, like it's something that's been in history and it's like people go to. It's an amazing painting that people like to like go and see. And it's just like if you were to mess that up, that's literally a piece of history that you
yeah,
messed up with like soup
yeah.
just because you
Heinz soup, Heinz
yeah
canned tomato soup.
like, I couldn't imagine reading that in a textbook as a kid, like, "Sorry, guys, we can never see the Mona Lisa again
Yeah.
because this person with Heinz soup and tomato soup just really wasn't feeling it that day." Like, I could understand if it was, like, a fire that messed up all the paintings, you're just
Mhm.
like, "Damn, that was crazy." But no, it was just this one guy who just had some soup with him and was like, "Yeah, I just don't want I no, y'all need to listen to me."
Yeah, and, like, their sentiment behind it was like, "Oh, like, people are struggling to, like, buy food. Like, times are hard right now, like, there's a shortage on a lot of stuff." So that was their message about it. It was like, "Oh, like, that's why we threw tomato soup," or whatever the fuck. But it's still like,
I feel like I could just go there and just streak, and I think I would get my story out right.
yeah.
You know, like I think that
The
would be a good enough story, right? Or go around the painting. Like I can do something. You know, I don't think I want to directly have to mess up the painting to
Yeah,
get my point across. I don't know.
and then it was like somebody else did it with a different painting. They threw, like, mashed potatoes at it. It's the same idea, and they also glued themselves, and it's just like, "Alright, bro, like, I get it, but everything that I've seen about this stuff, like, you have to read so much deeper to find out why they did it. Like,
Mm,
never in any of these headlines, like, the thing that they did kinda clouds up their purpose, because like, the headline is always, "Man throws mashed potatoes at" whatever painting it was, like Van Gogh's Sunflowers or some shit like that,
hmm.
and you never hear
What was the?
"for climate
Yeah,
change."
you never
That's
hear
always cut
what it
out.
was for. Yeah,
So, and nobody's reading, like, unless you're us or, like, somebody who really gives a shit, nobody's reading the article. They just read
exactly,
the headline and keep scrolling. So
exactly.
your cause, it just in vain. Now you're in jail. Now you're not helping with the cause even further. And either way, like, people are just gonna read this article and go about their day. Like, they're not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
The reason that they were so, like, adamant about doing it there is they were just kind of like, oh, like, here's this valuable thing, and they were kind of like, oh, like, care about the climate, like, y'all care so much about this, like, care about something that really matters, like the earth that we fucking live on.
yeah.
Makes sense,
It makes
but
sense, yeah. But again,
message gets lost.
like you can draw around the painting, like get some spray paint and literally spray paint around the
A
painting, like
poster
yeah, or a poster, something like I said, like
or a flash mob.
something that if they were to take a picture of the scene or something like that, it would have to be a part of it. There's no way to get like take it out. That way
Yeah,
people can see it and visualize and understand what was your like reason for it. But to just throw something on there and now the only thing I see on the picture, the headline is just two people just stuck onto a wall in front of a
yeah,
painting and you're just like, what?
and now they're arrested.
Exactly. So
I mean, who are we to talk? Like, we're not really fighting for this cause or whatever, and like,
yeah.
it is what it is. We're trying our best out here. But you know what I would do? Like, cause a lot of those places have like screens and shit. I would like hire a hacker to like just play this video talking about the shit. I feel like that'd be tough. It'd be like on
Yeah.
some like Arkham City type shit, like
True.
some
Yeah.
some Batman villain type shit. But I think like the shit like that would be cool. But at the same time, it's like I feel like we're yelling at the wrong people when you do shit like that. Cause it's like think about like some like this whole thing with like plastic straws or plastic bags and shit. It's like yeah, it's like we could stop using them, but the consumer is not the issue. It'd be like a lot of these companies. It's like, all right, stop producing
Yeah.
plastic bags. I could
Uh-huh.
recycle this shit as many times, like, but if y'all keep making
Yeah,
more,
it's the
this
factory,
shit's not going
the place
anywhere.
that's actually doing it. It's if they don't stop, it's just going to be still in consumption.
Yeah,
Once it
like
gets out into the world, still polluting and
Me
whatnot.
driving my car is not the issue.
Mhm,
It's the thousands of factories that are producing all this shit with fucking fossil fuels and shit that's fucking us up like
mhm.
at a crazy scale. Like my fucking '97 Toyota Corolla is not gonna ruin the earth.
Yeah,
But when you combine it with all those factories and all that crazy shit going on and plastic lids and trash being thrown in the oceans and shit like that, like all that waste, they like companies and shit like that, they are a much bigger part of the problem than consumers would ever be. Because we're doing our part way more often than they are.
true. I mean, there are people in the world that just don't give a shit, and it sucks when you see that, especially like when you're driving and someone
I
just throws
I
something out the
still say,
car.
yo, my mind explodes when I see people do that
Yeah,
now. I'm
it's
like, yo,
true.
like, didn't we like let that go like when we were kids? Like, why are you
Yeah,
this old littering?
yeah, I never understood it, bro. Sometimes it makes me want to just like get out the car and then like if we're at a stop sign, like if a stoplight and they're like in front of me and I see them throw it out, like some part of me just wants to get out, pick it up, and just throw it back in their car,
Asshole.
like or just be like, look, bro, like if you want, there's literally a building right there with a trash can. You can literally just throw it right there,
Or just put it in your pocket till you get to where you're
like
going.
yeah, like you have like where you're going. I'm pretty sure has a trash can. Like you can literally just go and just wait another block or two to just do that, but instead they don't. So like I understand, like it really does suck, but it's also like again these factories and whatever need to stop like producing it, but at the same time there's just people on this earth that just don't give a shit. It really just is crazy and blows my mind, like you said, to just see that people still do that. But again, like me, like even since I was little, like you said, a little kid, I probably did it. But as I kind of like got to like high school, maybe probably a little before that, I always knew like, bro, like just throw it in the trash. Like
Yeah.
just recycle. Like recycling is probably the hardest thing. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm not saying like it's hard, but
It's
sometimes
a
when there,
complicated thing.
because if there's not a recycling bin, you're just like,
Fuck. And then it's like, all
like,
right, what goes where? And then
like,
like now it's like if there's food in it, like you can't recycle it.
yeah, it's very like
And either way,
detailed.
we do all this effort to put it in these places and then they just dump it in the same fucking hole.
Exactly. So it's like, trust me, I love recycling and making sure that I throw trash in the trash. But sometimes, they make it hard. I would say other people make it
Yeah.
harder for that situation. But you know, still, like you said, the whole point of that story, like you said, great cause, understood. But the message gets lost when you're, not really, I guess, how would I say, understanding the whole full aspect of it of what will happen if this situation does get on the news. Like, are you gonna lose your point? Are you gonna, I don't know.
What frustrates me, like I love the tote bag thing, like being able to, have reusable bags now and they got rid of plastics. Great. Great idea. Should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
Masks, even before COVID, should have been a thing a long time ago. Um, Plastic straws or like paper straws. Not my favorite. They kind of like, get away from you after
Yeah.
a couple seconds. They're like fruity pebbles. You got to
True.
hurry it up.
True. True. Yeah.
I like the clear straws, like the little glass ones. Sick. I like metal straws. I don't mind them. Now, paper straws, I feel like it's a good idea. They kind of wear away. Not an issue. What I'm tired of is when I go to fucking Chick-fil-A or McDonald's and they hand me a paper straw, but the lid is plastic and then the cup is paper. It's like, bro, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you got plastic water bottles. Like, oh, we use these tiny ass little caps, so it's less plastic. Cool. Get rid of these, bro. Get rid of plastic bottles at this point.
Yeah. I think.
Liquid Death just made this whole thing where it's like, oh, it's doable. You
Mhm.
can have canned water. Just
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Recyclable. It's not gonna sit in the ocean for 600 years or whatever the hell the lifespan is of that stuff. It's like it's a gimmick a lot of times. A lot of people use like, it's like recyclable stuff and like all that stuff. Like it's like only partially for a marketing thing.
Yeah.
Same thing like gluten-free shit or like free range. Like it's all marketing.
Yeah. Like sometimes a part of me wishes like I could be in those like rooms to just like talk to these companies and just like really understand as to like why. Because I feel like it's not that difficult to
Yeah.
really just make the change. Like if you're trying to do it because like you said, you want to like because you want money, but it's just like, bro, at the end of the fucking day, like
How much can you have?
not even that, but it's like at the end of the fucking day, you need this earth in order
Yeah.
to actually use the money. If we are not on this planet anymore, we cannot use the money.
That's the end of that statement. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time. See ya.